Hello, everybody. We made it. We made it to Friday. Give me a big old thumbs up. If you can hear me, if I'm not talking to myself, just let me know. Let me know in the chat that you can hear me. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. So, as everyone know, today is everybody's favorite Friday. This is Facebook Friday. Woohoo! We made it. We made it. Awesome stuff. So, for those of you who are first timers here, welcome, welcome, welcome to the Stew Crew. This is what we do on Fridays. So, let me give you a little rundown. We go through your questions, your concerns, your burning desires, basically everything that I curate from the Facebook group. And today I brought the doozies in, the ones that are like the hit list, the number ones that you guys always ask about on Facebook Friday and in the Facebook group. So I got ones that you're going to sit there and go, oh my gosh, that question, yeah. So what we always do here too is I will tell you guys I'm in the chat. So if you have questions, you have concerns, you have burning desires, put it in the chat box over on the side because I'll be keeping an eye on it. Also, just so you know, if this is your first time here, make sure that you realize that you could pause it. You could refresh your screen if you're having any audio, video issues, stuff like that. Test 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3. And also, just so you know, if you do love doing the webinars with us, you're like, oh my God, this Stu guy is amazing. You could search other topics. You could search other things that I've done. Cynthia's done. Joe has done. Adrian has done. We have a ton of them in here for you guys. So, without further ado, what do we do first thing with the Stew Crew on Facebook Friday is we send someone off. We send someone off. Stew Crew is down 1. Okay? Jillian passed. That was awesome. Thanks for the 5 a.m. tutoring. Jillian, you're awesome. Congratulations, okay? So, first thing that I will tell you is this. Tima said, I passed the PA exam today. Thank you, Prep Agent. Stu, for all your podcasts that I fell asleep to. That's amazing. You're putting Stu on the smooth baritone voice here. And webinars with Stu and Cynthia. Yeah, they're awesome. We have a lot of fun. I truly am so happy that I passed on my first attempt. Amazing after rescheduling for several times and being nervous. Thank you. And thank you. And we're sending you off. So there you go. And the next thing I want to do, I felt bad. So guys, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you are a Massachusetts member, hop in the group, go over on to Eve's post, search for her in the group because she put in here 6 hours ago. She said, I just want a study buddy in Boston, Massachusetts. I get distracted easily. And here's what I'm going to tell you. No one responded. No likes, no comments. Look at that. Look at that. Super sad face. Super Stu sad face there. So we got to draw that sad face. So guys, if you are in the Massachusetts area, hit her up. Tell her that you'd be love to help her out because that's what we're here for. So that's something that if you guys are struggling, you want to find a study buddy, we got someone out there who was looking to get something done. So let's talk about this one. This was something that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to chat with. Okay. So here's what it said. Thomas said, the instructor just said that learning all this stuff about ownership of real estate agents would never have to use. This is as real estate agents. So basically saying, hey, this stuff isn't practical. Okay. We would tell people to speak to their lawyer. Then why are we studying it? The super simple reason, you need to get your license in order to be a real estate agent, right? We need to do that. We need to make sure that we get our license. So there's a part of it that will you ever see a life estate in the wild? Will you ever go out there and go, oh my God, look at that. That's an easement by necessity. Okay. No, you probably won't, but this is a means to an end. I mean, you're with me, and here's the thing. I make this as enjoyable as possible. We make it so that you are learning things as well as we're making it so that it's not painful for you guys. So hopefully you understand that. And Thomas, I hope that if you're listening to this, you're with me in the chat, that you understand, this is definitely a means to an end kind of thing. And our goal here is to make sure we put all this stuff in your head so that you can be successful at the test, just like Tima was, and that you could get it done as quickly as possible, okay? So that you could get on to forgetting about it. So that's what I like to say about that. And another thing that we do on Facebook Fridays is I'm doing this I just started. So guys, I also want to tell you this. Facebook Fridays, that's our thing. This is our bonding moment, okay? This is our chance to do whatever we need to do in order to get us to a successful point. I just started adding in the construction, that every week I talk to you about one construction thing. So if there's something that you say, hey Stu, this might be a great thing to add to Facebook Friday, please let me know. Message me, put it in the chat if you're like, oh, this is a great idea, because I might incorporate it. We might have something going on where we keep adding stuff in, and then all of a sudden, 30 years from now, Facebook Friday is like, well, I remember 30 years ago when we added construction, and now we could build a house. So here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at what is footing. What is footing? So Chambray asked a question, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. Okay. Hi, Stu. My exam is scheduled in 2 weeks. How many hours should I be studying a day? Anyone reading this? How many hours did you study? I'm reading it. So what I'll tell you is this. I like to say, and if you've been in any of my webinars, you know, study for about an hour to an hour and a half a day. I don't want to see you studying any more than that. Okay. So if it's longer than the length of a good movie, probably studying too much. Mushy potato brains. And also, I like to tell you this. If studying for an hour to an hour and 20 is too much for you at one clip, break it up throughout the day. Study 15 minutes, 20 minutes when you wake up in the morning. Study 20 minutes at lunch. And 20 minutes at dinner, and then 20 minutes right before you go to bed. Then all of a sudden you've created a nice little chunk of time out of your day that you that you have officially studied for. So don't think that you have to sit down for a traditional length of time, okay? And I'm glad that you appreciate it. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you with the material, but we're also here to help you understand what happens. And someone said, Christine said, really just an hour? Yeah, because if you study too much, then you're going to overthink it, okay? Because here's the thing. Listen to me. I'm a fat kid. You have to know that about me. I'm a fat kid, and one of my favorite foods in the world is mashed potatoes, okay? And so listen, I make mashed potatoes all the time, okay? There is a point where you're mixing and you're whipping the potatoes where it's perfect. You don't need to do more mixing and whipping. Because the more mixing and whipping you do, the worse it gets. So that's about the same thing with studying. So there's going to be a point where it gets counterproductive. Your brain starts to get lackadaisical. And what happens is this. You actually get to a point where it's just way too mushy. And you start getting to a point where you're getting things wrong that you weren't getting wrong before. So that's my suggestion. That's my takeaway, and I hope you heed my warning, because I will tell you this. I've been doing this a long time, and I think that my advice is pretty sound. I've been doing this like 13 years now. So I'm doing this through trial and error. I used to tell people to study longer, and then I realized I was like, oh no, it's not good, So anyway, I digressed a little bit from our construction example. So today, we're going to learn about footing. So here's the thing with footing, okay? Footing goes below the foundation. So look at this right here. And this is really like a very civil engineering thing, but I want to kind of explain it to you, okay? So here you have the foundation, okay, basically, and that's above the soil. So what happens is the footing goes into the ground, okay? And what happens is this. Basically, the footing, this right here, that little plate, okay, that little like big square block, okay, that's the footing. And what it does is it basically disperses the pressure and the weight that you're getting from that column, okay, from the foundation, okay, down at the bottom. So it supports the foundation. Yes, so Bernadette, you were 100% correct. It supports the foundation. It keeps it from continually sinking down and down and down and doing the limbo, going, how low can we go? So that's what footing is. Footing supports the foundation. So guys, give me a thumbs up if you like that and you're like, hey, I now know what footing is. Because if you actually Googled it, and this is what happens. If you Googled this or you went on YouTube, you'd find a lot of videos with engineers and talking about things that are way over the head. So Brittany said, my husband does this in septic services. Yeah, that's going to be a time that you're going to have to talk about footing. So engineers, contractors, stuff like that. So, someone asked, where is the crawling space? Patricia asked that. I'll tell you what, maybe I'll do crawl space next week, okay? So keep that in mind. I like when you ask me things like that because that gives me a topic to go over next week. Because like I said, we're going to do this every week. So, Dawn wrote in, which of the following prevents a person from adopting a position that conflicts with the previous position or previous action? Okay, so someone asked me if I could describe the East versus Strasburg case. I'm super unfamiliar off the top of my head, so I wouldn't be able to do that, Rebecca. However, maybe I'll do some research and I'll write that down in my notepad. Maybe next week I'll take a look at that and see if it's relevant. So, a lot of you guys are saying B as in banana, okay? And just so you know, bananas are 0 points on Weight Watchers. I know that because I'm on my 4th or 5th day. So I'm officially trying to be as happy as I can be because it's pretty miserable as food related. So, yeah, doctrine of estoppel. So let me give you an example, okay, of doctrine of estoppels because that's what this answer is. And I need you guys to understand it. So I'm going to give you my example, okay? And hopefully that might help you out. So basically, you can't take a position that conflicts with a previous position or action, okay? So, here's what I'm going to say. Let's say that Mrs. Stu came in and said, what are we doing for my birthday weekend? And I said, well, Mrs. Stu, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Aruba. And she's like, ooh, Aruba, okay, all right, that sounds like fun. And then what happens is this. As she's packing on Thursday night, a few weeks later, I say to her, honey, what are you doing? And she said, I'm packing for Aruba. I go, no, I'm going to Vegas with the guys. That's basically, she would sit there and be like, the doctrine of estoppel says that you took a previous position that we were going to Aruba, and you cannot change that. You cannot take a position now that conflicts with that. So that's what Mrs. Stu would say to me. So we'd be going to Aruba. And also, if I like my marriage, I would be going to Aruba. So I hope that helped you out. So typically that comes with like learning the different options. Like if someone gives an option and then changes their position on that, that would be an application in real estate. So again, it just basically means that if a previous position or previous action, okay, is in conflict with one that you are now taking, okay, the previous position needs to take precedence, okay? So, someone said, happy wife, happy life. Absolutely, all right? Because my wife is awesome. Super smart, super wonderful. She puts up with all my stuff. Basically, imagine if you had Facebook Friday every day, 24/7. you get kind of sick of it. So she puts up with a lot. She does. So Thomas wrote in, when would tenancy in common be used? Imagine owning a house, tenancy in common 3 ways. One of the owners wants out. He can go out and sell his share. Who wants to buy a share of a house? So this goes to a couple things, and I want to talk about this for a second. You ready? I will tell you the practical application, and Thomas is giving a lot of good things. So here's the thing. I put 2 of Thomas's things in here because they kind of had a theme. It was like, he's saying what a lot of us are probably thinking. Like, when are some of these things going to be used in a practical sense, right? Okay, so in regards to owning something, tenancy in common, I will tell you this a lot of times. So I invest in real estate, okay? So investors do invest with a lot of different people who, listen, they are my business acquaintances, but what I want to be joint tenants with them, and joint tenants means I have rights of survivorship. So I don't want to have something happen to me and then my interest in this property, is being, taken over by this person that I just have business relationships with. I want it to go to my family. I want it to go to Mrs. Stu, right? So what happens is, I always take all of my tenancy, all my investment properties as tenancy in common. And what happens is that means I could will it, I could sell it, I could do a lot of things. And to will real property means to devise. Okay. So, and who would want to buy a share of a house? Well, I've actually bought a share of a house. Now, is it super common? Is this something that every investor goes, I would like to buy 13% of that house? No. But is there a time and a place for it? Yeah, absolutely. It could happen. And what happens is this. The examples in the textbook, okay, or the examples in your book, really what you need to know is you need to know a little bit about each one and not look too much into the practical side of it. So the practical side of it, sometimes we want to. It's great to talk about, okay? And I will tell you this, it's something that I don't think you should put much weight into, okay? So, oh my gosh. Guys, this question. We're moving and grooving, guys. And again, if you have questions, type it into the chat box because I am keeping my eyes peeled on it. So this question reads, you ready? Happy Friday, everyone. I'm confused about this question, okay? Which of the following is not accepted as an earnest money deposit? Cash, credit card, debit card, or personal check or money order, okay? And I will give you my answer on this one, okay? And I will give you my standpoint, okay, on this one. So someone said, I'm going to miss your grooving. Well, the whole goal is this, that we're developing things for you guys after you pass your exam, so you won't miss me too much because I'll be doing, career development stuff with you guys. So you guys are stuck with me until you're old and very, very rich, okay? So in this example, I always said that the one that stood out to me as the right answer is B. B as in boy, okay? Because all of the other ones, okay, are cash equivalents, in my opinion, okay? And someone said, Jay said, I did this a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and here's the thing. I like bringing this up again. I told you, today's the greatest hits one, okay? So this is one that's literally brought up probably in the Facebook group once every other week. So I always like to make sure that members who are asking this question get my standpoint on it, and I give my opinion in regards to what I think it is. And all of the other ones, cash, debit card, personal check, or money order, in my opinion, are of value or cash equivalents. And I say credit card is the only one that stood out as something that you would not be able to, okay? So credit card is the answer. Here's another one. Told you, the greatest hits as we move it and groove it. Someone said, which is not a fixture? An heirloom rosebush or a cast iron bench? Okay. Rebecca said, my dogs hear your dogs. My dogs always make an appearance at least once in a while, once a week, right? So here's the situation here. One of these would have to be, so usually it's the cast iron, usually it's the cast iron bench is attached in some manner, shape, or form. Oh my God, I'm writing in the same color as what's here, so that wouldn't work. It's usually attached, right? So they usually say that that's attached. And the heirloom rosebush is certainly 1,000% personal property. 1,000% it is not a fixture, and I'm going to tell you why. And this is I'm giving you my opinion and my interpretation of it. Because Maria, okay, that is our legal test for a fixture. So let's talk about what I mean by legal test of a fixture. If you pass a test, then you are a fixture, okay? That means pass, go, don't collect $200. If you pass all those legal tests, you are a fixture, okay? So it would be method of attachment, adaptation to the real estate, relationship of the items to the parties attaching it, intentions of the parties attaching it, and the agreement. So someone asked, is the bench screwed down? You see how I put attached here? In every single time I've heard this, okay, in every single time that I've heard this, I have always put down, I've always seen that the bench is attached, okay? So, and what I'll say is this. So that's why I kind of changed the wording a little bit. So I say the heirloom rosebush because it doesn't pass the R and the I, because the relationship of the item to the parties is unique, okay? So what happens is this: a relationship and probably the intentions of the parties attaching it. So what I'll tell you is this. So typically, if it's a family heirloom and Shanta is actually in the chat. I saw that you passed. Congratulations. So I'm sorry that I'm getting to you a day late. Okay. But she did clarify and said it did say the bench was bolted down. So it is attached. I was right. Every once in a while, every other Facebook Friday, I am right on something. Okay. So let's talk about this a little more. The reason why the heirloom rosebush is not a fixture is because it fails the R and the I, right? Unique relationship of the items to the parties, okay? And the intentions, if it's a unique relationship to me, okay, then what happens is my intention is probably not to leave it in the ground, okay? So you could use that almost with anything, okay? You could use that with almost anything. And what I mean by that is this. Let's say I had a mailbox, okay? Because Mrs. Stu says, oh man, Stu, the mailbox is getting kind of run down. Can we go get a new mailbox? And I go, sure, honey, let's go get a new mailbox. So I go to Home Depot, get the mailbox, put it in the ground. Guess what? Passes every single one of these silly little tests, okay? Method of attachment, adaptation of the item to the real estate, relationship, no unique relationship. Intentions of the parties attaching it, it's the mailbox. An agreement between the parties. There's going to be no extraneous agreement between a buyer and a seller arguing about a mailbox. Now, let's say that mailbox, so it is a fixture. So I would say in that example, it's a fixture. Let's say the mailbox was a wooden duck mailbox made by my great-great-grandfather. Now it has a unique relationship, okay, in regards to the parties attaching it. And it would change the intentions of it. So it would not be a fixture. It would be personal property. But I always do say, take your time on it. Take a look at it. And something like that, if you remove it, you would have to actually replace it. So hopefully that makes sense. Depends on the mailbox, dude. Yeah, it depends on the mailbox. So Ranjit said, Stu, can someone keep both a salesperson and broker's license? No, you typically hold one license, okay? So that's something that I would say you couldn't do. So Harpreet asked, are both real property? So I would say, Harpreet, in regards to the answer above, I would say that the heirloom rosebush, because it has a unique relationship to the parties attaching it, okay, is personal property. So it doesn't pass the test of a legal fixture, okay? And I actually did an X with my arms just now, and I realized that you guys can't see that. So I literally did this. I went with my little arms. I went, no, it doesn't pass a legal test of a fixture. So heirloom is the key word. Yes, absolutely. And look, Darren got in here. So I think this was one from last week that I intended to look at, but I didn't answer it last week. So Darren said, I picked joint tenancy and got this wrong. 3 siblings bought a farm together and the deed listed only each of their names. What form of ownership have they presumed to have taken? And the answer is tenancy in common. Absolutely. Darren, why is it tenancy in common? Well, I'm going to tell you. You ready? Because joint tenancy can never be taken automatically or presumptively. So as soon as it says presumed and there is nothing stated, the default would be tenants in common, okay? Multiple people, tenants in common, okay? Unless you elect to take that. Because, and here's why. And listen to this. Listen to the logic. You ready? Joint tenancy, you are giving up your ability to devise the property. So the government does not want you to give up your right to devise the property just willy-nilly. They don't want to presumptively say, hey, you want the right of survivorship, okay? Then what happens is this. You have to declare it. So it will never be automatic or presumed. So in this situation, it is tenants in common. There you have it, Okay? So I hope you like that one. Presume is the key word. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. And thank you for submitting that. Thank you for tagging me and stuff. Thank you for participating. So I always like to make sure that we get questions from people in the Stew Crew. Brandy, I know you're in there in the chat somewhere. You put something up the other day that was really awesome. I wanted to put it into last week's Facebook Friday, but I didn't. Okay. So someone said I would have gotten the question wrong because I didn't know what an heirloom rosebush until now. Yeah, so heirloom is like, okay, it's like an old way of saying like family passed down, okay, stuff like that. So that is the situation. So Brandy, okay, I loved when you put this in here. So blockbusting. Blockbusting is the pushing someone into selling, inducing fear into someone for selling, for the prospect of those people moving in or out, whatever protected class they are, okay? So those people moving in or out of an area. Chelsea heirloom toilets. Let me tell you something. I've seen some houses with some toilets that were so old that they might as well be heirlooms because they don't work too well as toilets. So blockbusting is inducing fear into someone to sell based on a protected class moving in or out. So those people are moving in or those people are moving out. Steering, okay? Steering is taking buyers, channeling them, directing them to certain areas. So you have buyers and you're like, oh, I think you would be better off here. I think you'd be better off there. Okay? So someone said that they were heirloom toilets, and that was what they actually asked on the test? Like, that wasn't a joke? Please confirm that for me, guys. That's really funny. I thought that was a joke that you were throwing in there. You know, you were being Stew Crew funny. But please tell me if that's the case, because maybe I'll change my question from heirloom rosebush to heirloom toilets. That would be a new one for me. So steering, yeah, if you're taking people to or away from a certain area, right? And redlining. This is mortgage companies and insurance companies. Most people forget that. Drawing a red line around an area, okay? And them saying, hey, we're not going to lend in certain neighborhoods, okay? So that is the situation there. Brandy, thank you so much for putting that up there. And guys, what I'm going to do is this. You know, you ever see that stick figure where it says, be more like Bob, okay? You know, and he usually has a hat, right? Little pom-pom hat. It says, be more like Bob, and there's always like a little meme. It's like, do. Be more like Brandy. What I will tell you is this. If you have some great ways to remember things, and that's why I share things with you. If I see it in the Facebook group, I'm like, oh my God, that's a great way to do that. Share your notes if you feel comfortable doing that. We have a great file section in the Facebook group. Upload things, do that. I encourage that, because here's the thing, you guys, I don't know if you know this already, if you could tell from just spending some time with me, Joe, Cynthia, Adrian, you guys are family, okay? This is why we do what we do here, okay? To make sure that you are best prepared for the test, okay? Once you're in that Prep Agent family, you're in the Stew Crew, you're in the Adrian Nation, the Joe Show, and I don't know what we have for Cynthia yet. We need to get something for Cynthia. We haven't had a good one. You're a part of the fam, and we take care of you guys. So blockbusting and panic selling are the same thing. Tim, yes, absolutely. Blockbusting, panic selling, panic peddling, okay? All the same. Synonyms, or as my best friend's daughter would say, the cinnamons. Let's keep going, okay? Help! Hannah said she needs some help, and this was a past Facebook Friday that I didn't get into this. You ready? Karen and Bill were tenants in common. After Karen dies, what happens? Bill is a single owner. Bill is a tenant in common with Karen's heirs. Bill is a joint tenant with Karen's heirs. D, the contract is terminated and nobody owns anything. And here's the thing, Michelle put the right answer when she put the comment here. You guys are fantastic. Karen's heirs and her are going to be tenants in common, right? So that is the situation there. Hannah, I didn't get to you the last Facebook Friday, but I saved your photo. So here we go. You ready? Can you go over freehold estates. Everyone always wants me to go over freehold estates. So let's get moving. Let's get grooving. Let's talk about this, guys. Okay? Because this is something that comes up all the time. Now, what is a freehold estate? Okay? What is a freehold estate? Someone said, God, yes, I struggle in this area. Jordan, you almost made me spit my water out on my computer screen. So let's get into this. What is a freehold estate? So a freehold estate, if we were talking about this, okay, are ownership, okay? So you own, okay? You own. You have the full bundle of rights. Everyone always says to me, okay, the full bundle of rights? The full bundle of rights. Everything, okay? So here's the thing. When I just told you that freehold estates, okay, are ownership, then what happens is this. Your definition of each one of the freehold estates should start with its ownership, okay? So you ready? Watch my definition of fee simple or fee simple absolute. And depending on how your book writes it, some textbooks like to write it fee simple absolute. Some people like to just put it fee simple or simple fee. I've seen it a whole bunch of different ways. So, fee simple absolute is ownership without limitations other than that of government law. Okay? So other than the government powers coming down on you and saying, we have the right to eminent domain, we have the right to escheat, we have the right to taxation. What else did I put down there? I put eminent domain, taxation, I forgot the P, police power, right? So that's the highest form of ownership, absolutely. Austin is driving to his test right now. Don't crash. Smile a little bit. If you need a knock-knock joke, maybe I'll stay on at the end and I'll tell you a knock-knock joke, okay? You gotta relax. You gotta woosah, okay? Loosen up a little bit. And also just listen up, too, because we're putting great stuff out here. So, that is the highest form of ownership. The only limitation is that of the government powers, right? So, fee defeasible. That's ownership that could be defeated, okay, on the occurrence or non-occurrence of an event. So if they say, hey, you can't sell alcohol here, okay? I mean, that's a pretty boring house. But anyway, you could still serve Shirley Temples, right? So if you can't sell alcohol someplace and you start selling alcohol, then your ownership could be defeated. And when we say your ownership, that means you have the full bundle of rights. So someone said, Natalie Matthews said, is there another name for fee defeasible? They sometimes refer to it as conditional fee, fee conditional. I've seen some authors write it as. So Debbie said, I'm sitting in the parking lot testing in 30 minutes. Make a silly face in the rearview mirror. Make yourself laugh. Seriously, get a little lighthearted. Don't study so much. Don't study so hard. I always tell people, listen, I love when you come into the Stew Crew. I love having you guys here, but I want you to feel a little relaxed and comfortable going into the test. Don't stress yourself out, right? So fee defeasible is ownership that could be defeated, okay? That's what defeasible means, okay? It means defeatable, okay? Someone said sing the Joe song in there. I don't even know the Joe song. I need to have a Stew song. Maybe I'll just sing to you at the end. Then maybe that'll be how we'll end every Facebook Friday. Life estate. Life estate is ownership based on the life of someone or something, okay? So ownership based on the life of someone or something. So what happens is this. You can have a life estate. You ready? And I'm going to tell you this because I'm going to draw a life estate a little bit for you guys, okay? So let's say this. Let's say Joe, okay, gives Stu a life estate, okay? So Joe gives Stu a life estate. That means that as soon as Stu dies, okay, as soon as Stu plotzes, goes back to Joe. That's what we understand in that. With the information given, Joe gives Stu a life estate. As soon as Stu goes kaputskis, then what happens is it will revert back to Joe. So, while Stu is alive, kicking and singing, okay, Joe has a reversionary interest, okay? He has a reversionary interest, okay? He has a reversionary interest in the property. Someone said, don't die, Stu. Well, for the example, I need to die, okay? For the example, I need to go. So, what happens is, in this example, because the property would revert to Joe, okay, then what happens is I would say that Joe has a reversionary interest, okay? Now, let's add someone in here. Ready? So, now Joe says, I don't really like that property that I'm giving you, Stu. That's why I'm giving it to you. I don't really like you. I just want to kind of get this property off my back. And so when you die, it's going to go to Adrian because I don't want it back, okay? Plots is it's Yiddish for dying. For those of you who don't know what plots means, it's the only Yiddish I know. So yeah. Someone asked, can Stu sell houses? Yeah, absolutely. Does a bear poo in the woods? Absolutely. I can sell houses. I've been selling them for 17 years. If I didn't, I wouldn't be able to help you out at all. So, what happens is this. Adrian owns a remainder interest, okay? A remainder interest, okay? So what happens is this. Joe gives Stu a life estate, okay? And says after Stu dies, okay, there would be a remainder man. So what if Joe dies? Whatever interest he has in the property goes to his heirs. So if it's a reversionary interest, like it would revert in the first example, goes to his heirs. If he just gave a remainder interest, basically he doesn't have any interest in the property because, again, there's a remainder man, okay? So it would go to Adrian, and then his interest would go to his heirs. You're making it super complicated, okay? What if the remainder man is first to die? It goes to Adrian's estate. This interest goes to his estate. That's it. So, let me answer this question. Bernadette asked, can you please go over a good way to remember exclusive agency and exclusive right to sell? Okay? So, someone said, does it all have to be in writing? This has to be expressed somewhere. I wouldn't say that it has to be in writing. But I mean, in order to be enforceable and to say that this is what we agreed to, I would say that you have to have it in writing, okay? This is not something that really you could not have it written down somewhere, in my opinion, but they won't ask you that on the test, okay? So that's what I want you to know. So exclusive agency and exclusive right to sell. Guess what? This will be the one that we will end on, okay? So, in an exclusive right to sell, as I sit there and misspell exclusive. Okay, right to sell. What happens is this. In this one, it's actually in the name, okay? In this one, you have the exclusive right to sell it. No one else, okay? No one else. So exclusive right to sell is the exclusive right that the agent has that no matter what, they're the ones who are going to be selling it, okay? Now, exclusive agency, they're the exclusive agent, but the seller still has the right to sell it on their own and pay zero commission. In this one, the real estate agent is getting a commission no matter what, okay? So what happens is the exclusive right to sell is the best one for the broker because they get they get the commission no matter what, right? So someone said, this is my first time watching and you're very helpful. And I love that you guys are here with me. So look, I hope that you go back and watch some of my other ones. I have really good jokes. I'm a ton of fun and you learn stuff too. That's the most important thing, okay? So that is, I have one more for you guys. Here's this one because I actually like this one. I like this question. It was written a little weird, okay? So listen to me, okay? Listen to me. I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to explain to you how I read it, okay? So Jennifer said, I just got this wrong on a summary exam. I thought for sure if lead-based paint form is not attached to the sales contract, if the unit was built before 1978, it was always void, okay? Apparently, it's voidable. So the question read, a residential property permitted prior to January 1st, 1978 may be blank if a completed lead-based paint form is not attached to the sales contract by the date in the deadline box. And I said voidable as well on this one. And she put void. This is a really good question. And I had to bounce this off of a couple people just to make sure that voidable was in fact accurate before I gave it to you guys, because I don't want to give you bad information, not on a Facebook Friday. So in this case, there is nothing illegal about this. If everyone agrees to it, everyone moves forward with it, there's nothing illegal about it. It's voidable on the part of the buyer if the seller has not or will not disclose it, okay? They could cancel the contract and say, I'm not going forward with it because you need to provide that stuff, okay? And Shahana said this is a great question. I thought so too. I thought it was a good one to end on. I thought this was a really great one. So, guys, I hope you like this. And you know what? Gold stars for everybody. You know, I hope you had a great time with me today because we're going to be wrapping it up, okay? So Bernadette said, so if the lead test was not completed, it doesn't void the contract. So listen to what I'm going to tell you. It's a lead-based paint disclosure, okay? Which means the seller has to disclose if they have knowledge of the presence of lead-based paint, okay? So that is what they are not doing in this question, okay? Someone asked me if I could do a finance webinar next week. I know we did one this week, so I'll see. Look, I always love taking requests. Okay, so guys, I hope you like this one. Someone said I love Facebook Fridays, and I love you guys. I love coming here on Facebook Fridays and having fun with you. I love wrapping up the week like this, okay? Because I like getting into your questions because I want to make sure that you guys understand that you put a lot of things. You put a lot of stuff into the Facebook group, and I want you to know it doesn't go on unseen. We see it, okay? And this is my way of saying, hey, let me answer some of the crazy questions for you guys. Some of the questions. So, I hope that you got something out of this. I hope that you had a lot of fun with me. Please go through and look back at past webinars if you had a fun one today, if this is your first time. So, thank you so much for that. Guys, just want to remind you, past webinars are in your account. Also, if you go over to more and you go to private tutoring, you can schedule a private tutoring session with myself or Cynthia, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. We have availability, and I always say book ahead of time because we book up quickly because we are super popular. We're here to help you guys out, so please have a fantastic weekend. Be safe, be wonderful, and I'm going to see you guys real soon.